Hey everybody, Lisa here. This is a new project that I'm starting where I'm going to dedicate this section of vlogs to the issues that impact girls and women with Turner syndrome. I was diagnosed with Turner syndrome just before I turned 14 years old, and I've been sharing my story here on YouTube. But in my vlogs, I would love to talk about the things that have happened to me and share some of my experiences to better help you as someone with Turner's or someone who is a parent or loved one of someone who has this genetic condition. One of the very first things that I want to point out is some of the hardest times for me was when I was going through junior high and high school. Those were very, very difficult times for me. My friends were just growing up so much more mature than I was, so much faster, and I just felt like that, I was being left behind. But the comfort and the message that I want to get across to those people affected by Turner's that are going through this at this time is a little story I like to call Mirror, Mirror. I was not physically bullied when I was in school, but, I suffered emotional ridicule just like a lot of people do. It's amazing how many people suffer through that going through school, and I was no exception. For instance, in the 8th grade, during lunch, I was picked up by the tallest boy in the entire school, a member of the basketball team, and it was during lunch, and he took me from one end, he picked me up and took me from one end of the cafeteria to the other. He picked me up and carried me down the middle of the aisle of the cafeteria in front of the entire 8th grade class, which is hundreds and hundreds of kids. And of course, everybody was laughing and carrying on. Meanwhile, I was sitting there kidding him, telling him, put me in my seat. And I was totally humiliated. Anyway, most of my life through school wasn't quite as bad as that, but that's just an example of how I fit in, but I really didn't fit in. I had lots of friends. Lots of friends at my birthday parties. Lots of people to do things with, to invite over to my house to play. I had friends on my street, in my subdivision, at my school, at my church. So I had no problem making friends. Boyfriends, that was another story. But the moral of the story is you've got to keep some perspective. Because I will never forget getting the invitation for my 10-year high school reunion 10 years later after I graduated. And I had trepidations about going. But the funny thing is, when I went, people were so excited to see me. They smiled, they hugged, they danced. We had a wonderful time. A huge majority of the people that I went to school with in my class were there. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were there with their spouses, significant others, or just by themselves. And it was so much fun. I wouldn't miss it for the world because you got to see, some of the popular kids and how they turned out. Some of them with no hair or gray hair or fat or bald. And, they're still trying to act cool and all that kind of stuff. But I was treated with so much respect and love and admiration. And since I've graduated, I have heard things from other of my classmates about what they really thought of me. The one guy that I had a crush on that I thought, would never think anything of me, he told me how much he admired me. How I was someone who had myself so together, knew what I wanted, and just seemed to be this fantastic put-together person. And I think that he really did care about me. But the funny thing is, I was thinking so bad about myself. That's why I like to call this episode Mirror, Mirror. Because as much as we look in the mirror, as much as we try to think about what other people think of us, even listening to what they say sometimes is difficult. So, your job, should you choose to accept it, is to be the best that you can be, period. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. And as far as conforming, that's so 1970s. The world is all about diversity and uniqueness. Celebrate what's unique about you. Celebrate what's unique about you, whatever it is. Even women and girls with Turner syndrome are different from each other, just like any other human beings on this planet. I will be keeping you updated with regular episodes. We're going to talk about everything from relationships to infertility to school to job hunting, careers. We're going to talk about it all. Till next time, this is Lisa, and I will see you next time.